Hello viewers and welcome back to another episode of Seasonal Gay Anime Spotlight, the show where I look at the queer characters of each season of anime and talk about them as they are in the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season. To start off right away, we'll talk about the gender identity of Kino from Kino's Journey, The Beautiful World. Or to be more precise, lack thereof. In all honesty, I'm not watching this show because I'm a bit stuffed with all the great anime that's coming out this season, and the fact that I've never seen the original anime, and I want to see that version first. But I did want to talk about the character nonetheless because of the popularity of the character and the anime's cult status. In the original anime, Kino's gender was unclear to the audience and most thought that they were male, but they later found out that they were at least biologically female when they took the name Kino, as it has importance in their life. Though it should be said that this doesn't mean that Kino identifies themselves as a girl, but is just using this name because of its significance. Also, throughout the original anime, Kino doesn't really answer to any gender, as specific moments show this. So, non-binary, I guess? Gender non-conforming? Someone let me know. But Kino's gender ambiguity is a big part of their character and the journey that they go on in each incarnation. Now, all that I said has to do with the original anime, so it'll have to be seen if this new anime carries this part of Kino's character into this new version. I won't know because I won't be watching. But if you are, check it out and let me know in time for the show's next episode. Next up is Natsumi and Rin from Konohana Kitan. In this slice of life anime with cute fox girls, possible queer baiting is inevitable. And while I'm still unsure about some of the pairings that the anime is teasing, I can faithfully say that at least one of them might go all the way. Ren is an uptight girl who does her job perfectly, and Natsumi is a laid-back tomboyish girl, sporting a male kimono instead of a female one like the rest of the characters, who's more energetic than the rest of her co-workers. The third episode centers around the two of them as we see their relationship and how they originally met. They met when Natsumi helped take care of Ren after she was bullied by some boys and they became friends. This started Ren's infatuation with Natsumi. She even gets jealous when a kid she believes to be a girl seemingly crushes on Natsumi, only to later be revealed to be a boy wishing to become Natsumi's apprentice. And while the episode is mostly from Ren's point of view, we do see a bit of Natsumi's feelings towards her as well. When a perverted guest gropes Ren, Natsumi stands up for her, kicking the guest out, and later comforting her. Later, when the guest of the week reveals to Natsumi that he's developed a crush on Rin, Natsumi says, "Not Rin," and then walks away. In the end, whether or not this relationship goes any further is yet to be seen, but no one can deny that the execution of this relationship shows that it ain't no queerbaiting, and is actually a sweet and caring relationship. And the conversation the two of them have at the end of the episode really shows this. This will be a relationship that I'm paying close attention to. Now let's move on to our next segment, Recap Last Season. The part of the show where I quickly go over the queer characters from the past season and say whether their stories concluded nicely or badly. But that does mean that there are spoilers ahead. You have been warned. First, let's talk about Hazuki and Rin and Ko from New Game Season 2. We'll begin with Hazuki. Unfortunately, they don't do more with Hazuki's character in being an older lesbian besides just giving her some more scenes. She blesses around her younger co-workers, always suggests to go to maid cafes, and even dresses up some of the characters as maids. Outside the comedy though, they don't really do anything with her gayness. And throughout the season, I thought that they were going to do the same thing with Rin and Ko, though there's a reason for this. See, because Ko was included more in the anime's main plot, having her be in even more scenes with Rin would give Ko a bit too much screen time, making Rin not be in the anime as much as she was in the first season. They did get a few scenes together, like Ko giving Rin a watch as thanks for helping her out all these years. But as compared to the last season, it wasn't as much. At the end of the season, however, Ko decides to grow in her abilities by studying in France for a while. Later, after being told this, Rin breaks down and admits that she doesn't want Ko to leave her. After apologizing for taking advantage of Rin's kindness all these years, Ko promises that she won't be gone forever, and that when she returns, she'll continue to be by Rin's side. Rin also promises that she'll continue to support Ko, even overseas, until the day that she returns. This is as close as New Game has come to properly acknowledging the relationship between these two characters, and the way that it is handled gives us a compelling exchange of emotions. And while it would have been nice to have a definitive answer on Rin and Ko's relationship, I will say that I am at least satisfied with this. What was not satisfying at all was Yuma and Hotaru from Netsuo NTR Trap. I don't want to dwell too much on how horrible the show is itself, so I'll just focus on Yuma and Hotaru. In the end, Yuma figures out her feelings for Hotaru, confessing her love to her, and the show ends with them kissing and
reportedly implying that Fujiwara is going to back off now. And while that might be all well and good, what came before it is not good at all. The show featured such an annoying lack of communication, with Yuma's denseness being infuriating and even a bit hypocritical, unconsensual moments on Hotaru's part, and it was just all around uncomfortable. The moment I completely gave up on the show is when Yuma joins the hostess bar that Hotaru works at in order to protect her, and we have to see these two characters do stuff like this in front of a male crowd that I'm assuming is supposed to represent the people actually watching and enjoying the show. It's enough to make a lesbian like me very uncomfortable. And it really says something when I feel bad for the straight male in this supposed Yuri anime. The show is trash, and the only reason to continue watching it is to see how much more trash it can get. And in that regard, it does not disappoint.
If you do like this show, go ahead and like it. But if you didn't and are still thirsty for some more Yuri anime, don't worry, Citrix is coming out soon. But if you're like me and you want just a simple, non-drama filled Yuri anime, then either wait for the Kase-san OVA to come out next year, or just go watch and read Sweet Blue Flowers. Because that shit is fucking amazing. There was also Yusuke Nisika from Love and Lies. What a disappointment.
From beginning to end, Nisaka's character stays the same and nothing about him changes. Nejima is still blissfully unaware of his best friend's feelings towards him, and no progress is made between the two of them. The anime also takes no opportunity to use its queer elements that it has in this dystopia world. I would love to know what it's like to be gay in a world where you have to be paired up by someone of the opposite sex by the government, but the anime never once attempts to do this at all. All that being said, Nisaka is the best character because of how wholesome and sassy he is, and his scenes are easily the best scenes in Love and Lies. But that's not saying much because this is a truly horribly written show.
If you want to see how a queer character facing unrequited love can be written well, then go watch Scum's Wish. Because that shit is fucking amazing. Now we'll talk about two minor characters that showed up this season, and start off with Sayaka Igarashi from Kakegururi, Compulsive Gambler.
It's more clearly shown in the manga, but the anime hints at Sayaka's feelings towards the student council president. This is only slightly implied about these feelings in the anime, while in the manga, these feelings are brought to the forefront when Sayaka challenges Yumiko to a gamble duel. However, this part is only shown in the manga.
And I can't talk about it too much in detail, because in this show, I only talk about what happens in the anime. But I put this here just to mention it, since the feelings are slightly implied in the anime. Lastly, I want to talk about the character of Nanachi, who shows up in the last third of Made in Abyss.
I just wanted to point out how when talking about the character, the anime doesn't use any gender-specific pronouns when describing Nanachi, as despite having feminine characteristics, the character design doesn't have a clear gender form, whether that's in their bunny form or in their human form when shown in a flashback.
So I think it's cool that we have a sort of gender non-conforming character in this pretty awesome show. That's all. Now all that had to do with the main anime that aired on TV, but we are still not done yet, because there's also two OVAs to talk about. First, we have the majority of the characters in the Cardcaptor Sakura OVA Clear Card Prologue. A sort of retelling of the second half of the last episode of the original series, this OVA is meant to do two things. One is to bridge the gap between the last episodes of the finale movie, which leads into the new season coming out next winter season. The second is to reintroduce us to these characters that some people haven't seen for years. And the majority of these characters are queer, as I'll talk about individually.
First off, his main protagonists, Sakura and Sharon, who are both bisexual. Though nothing in the OVA shows their queerness, as the OVA centers around Sharon's confessing his feelings to Sakura and Sakura figuring out her feelings and doing the same, you can't ignore that both of these characters are bisexual, with, in the old series, Sakura crushing on her female teacher and Sharon crushing on Yukito. Next up is Tomoyo, who is in love with her best friend,
and second cousin, there I said it.
Again, nothing here does anything with it, but it's still nice that Tomoyo does everything to help Sakura figure out her feelings to Sharon and warn her of his sudden departure. There's also Naruku/Ruby Moon, the journalist being created by Cloud Reed. It was nice to see them again, and it resulted in a nice scene explaining why they were created. And lastly is my personal favorite characters and couple of the show, Toya and Yukito. With them getting together at the end of the original series, we get more scenes of them together talking about this and helping Sakura with her conflicting feelings. It's nice to see Toya and Yukito in the aftermath of getting together, because they are very cute together.
Though not that much queerness happened in this OVA, with the exception of Toya and Yukito, it was still nice to see these characters again and got me very excited for the new series coming out next winter season. And lastly is Toru and Saikawa from the Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid OVA. First I'll quickly talk about Saikawa and her crush on Kana.
She doesn't do that much that's different than what she does in the anime, but in this OVA, since it's Valentine's Day, she gives Kana some chocolate. That's about it for her, but the main gay highlight is Toru's little arc throughout the OVA. Now, since the OVA takes place after the last episode of the anime when Kobayashi brings Toru and Kana to introduce them to her parents, Toru believes that she has finally claimed Kobayashi's romantic affections and that the next step is for her and Kobayashi to be intimate together as a sexual couple. So she gives Kobayashi some chocolate that has some love potion mixed in, but just like in the manga, this ultimately backfires. She later tries again when the gang goes to the hot springs, this time giving her normal chocolate, which Kobayashi accepts. Even though she tries to say something, Toru comes to the final conclusion that Kobayashi isn't looking for a lover, but for someone to be with her forever, and that she just wants to be a happy family with Toru and Kana, which is something that Toru is more than happy to be a part of. Though this doesn't mean that Kobayashi doesn't show some affection towards Toru, as when they return to the inn, Kobayashi offers Toru her hand as they walk back together holding hands and letting Toru rest her head on her lap on the train ride back.
This OVA is great because it gives Toru a nice little arc and finally coming to the conclusion on what Kobayashi truly wants. And it also gives us glimpses of Kobayashi's affection towards Toru, implying that maybe she'll be intimate with Toru and return her love someday. I highly doubt it given the animation studio, but I could dream! And now we've reached our last segment of the show, Shadow's Heterosexual Pick. The part of the show where I pick an anime that may not have any queer characters in it, but it's still pretty good. And there is no doubt that this episode's pick is Blood Blockade Battlefront and Beyond. Ooh, it's good to be back!
If you've been watching my channel for a while, then you know that Blood Blockade Battlefront was my favorite anime of 2015 and one of my top 10 favorite anime of all time. So you better believe that I was super excited to see its second season, and so far, I haven't been disappointed. Though the absence of last season director Rei Matsumoto and her eye-catching frame-by-frame action and little touches of sentimentalism are extremely missed. But the second season still maintains a majority of the original staff, so it still has the show's gorgeous animation, great storytelling, lovable and enjoyable characters, and adapting some of my favorite chapters from the original manga. The only thing that's left to be seen is if the show will introduce an anime original plot like in the first season, or just be an episodic season.
Whichever one it chooses, I am so delighted that Blood Blockade Battlefront is back. So that's the end of the episode. You guys still liking the show? If you do, like and comment anything that you want to say. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more. Catch you later.